He paid attention to every detail, and the effect was overwhelming. And he is the standard against which I still measure live acts.
And Paul, he was a talented man, an icon, as we've been hearing tonight, and he transcended the ages, didn't he? We've just had one email from a viewer who said that their 8-year-old son is a huge fan with every album, and I'm not looking forward to having to break the news to him this morning. So he's a man that really transcended the generations.
The great records have proven to be timeless. It's true of the Beatles, and it is true of Michael Jackson. Time is flat for young people today. With the Internet, they don't think in terms of oldies. Everything's current. It may have happened before breakfast, but it's available, and everybody is worth listening to. And people of all ages love the Michael Jackson music from 1969 to 1995.
Paul, it's difficult to underplay this magnitude of this breaking news this evening. Would you compare it perhaps to the huge event of John Lennon's death?
There's one difference there, which was the violence, and also the fact that Lennon had just reemerged with a very good record, and he was in a happy period in his life. So the circumstances aren't comparable. After all, murder is much worse than a heart attack. But in terms of the feeling of being bereft by the people who adored Michael Jackson, this is a profound experience for them. I called a friend who had been inspired to sing by Michael Jackson, and I expected him to be in grief, and he was sobbing. And in Japan, this is the #1 news story. And Michael Jackson really is the last of the classic pop stars on the male side. We have Madonna on the female side. But really, he was the last of these giant artists of the magnitude of Elvis and Sinatra and the Beatles.
You said that you were concerned for his health when you saw that he was having this tour, 50-date tour that was due to start in a couple of weeks in London. Of course, many people were concerned for his health, but it was said that he underwent very rigorous checks to see that he was up to it. But music-wise, did you see this as a comeback tour or more a man who needed, unfortunately, to make some money?
Well, I thought of it as a harvest tour. That's what I call it, when someone goes out and does their oldies. And there's nothing, incidentally, to say that somebody shouldn't do that, because people who didn't see him in his prime could see him now. Just as I never saw Muddy Waters in his prime, I saw him in his 60s. I was glad he toured in his 60s, so I could see him. The fact is, he hadn't made a relevant record since 1995, and I don't see that he was going to be brave enough to do what Johnny Cash and Bob Dylan did, which is to actually act their age. That was the one problem with his career. He had so much raw material to draw on from the last 15 years of his life, but he hadn't seemed interested in incorporating that into his music like Johnny Cash and Bob Dylan did. But you don't need that because you've got what he did between 69 and 95.
OK, Paul Gambaccini, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Let's listen in to our colleagues over in Fox News in the States. They are talking to the actor Joe Pesci.
I really think he was. He was, downhearted for a while, and I think he finally got himself up because he always sounded a lot more happy,
Well, we hope that he was in his final days. Joe Pesci, an actor, a friend of Michael Jackson's, and remembering the life which ended today after 50 years. Joe, thanks very much.
Thank you.
You can see the crowd.
Well, that was Fox News talking to Joe Pesci. Unfortunately, we just came in at the end of that interview. Well, our US correspondent Robert Nisbet joins me now. Robert, words from Joe Pesci. We've got Hollywood stars giving their reaction. Here on Sky News, we spoke to Uri Geller, a very close friend of Michael Jackson, who had literally just heard the news. He was devastated, extremely shocked, so much so he couldn't actually speak to us. This is going to have reverberations throughout Hollywood and the world of the rich and famous.
That's right, and I think Paul Gambaccini touched on it there when he was talking about the level of emotion that surrounds Michael Jackson, whether it be their reaction to the media covering Michael Jackson, or indeed, his close friends and his acolytes. There is a level of attachment between fans to Michael Jackson that I really haven't witnessed with any other celebrity. And again, Gambaccini was talking there about his popularity, not just in the United States and in Europe. I mean, he really was a truly global star, even when his career slumped in Western Europe and in the U.S. In the last few years or so. He remained a giant star in Asia and frequently made public appearances there. So this will have truly kind of international reverberations, and I would expect certainly within the next few hours we're likely to get a remark from the President of the United States, and I would suggest that other world leaders will probably be pushed to comment as well. And there aren't many entertainers when you will see heads of government instantly putting pen to paper or mouth to microphone and saying how much this man will be missed. And I think it's important to stress again that this wasn't just a musical icon, he was a cultural icon. What he introduced in terms of what he wore, remember the moonwalk dance, which he did for the first time, I think in 1985, and he did again at his arraignment for the last child sex abuse hearing in 2005, which he did on the roof of a car. That was his signature move that affected and impacted around the world how people could have viewed entertaining. His concerts were these Sonne Lumiere extravaganzas, especially those that he did after Thriller and Bad. They became kind of event